Right, welcome to another Battlefield terrain tutorial. So in this episode, we've got a swampy Imperial outpost here. Step by step, we're going to show you how to put this together, so you can use it for your own games of Warhammer 40,000. You can copy each stage here. It's quite straightforward to do this one, but I'll show you all the steps involved. So do check out the other tutorials on the channel. There's quite a few of them now, showing you how to set up unique tables for your own games of Warhammer 40,000. As per usual, links, I'll put as many links as I can in the video description below, just to show you where to get a hold of the various parts that make this terrain board. So the first part, as per usual, is the foundation, which is the battle mat. This is the new swamp mat from gamemat.eu, so quite an atmospheric board here. We've gone for like an abandoned Imperial, or semi-used, not sure, it might be abandoned or it could still be used by the Imperium, but there's an outpost here with these rocky outcrops, and then these sort of pine trees growing, and then all the swampy, foresty kind of ground going on here. So very atmospheric board, some far distant outpost of the Imperium. So the first part is the battle mat. This one is the 60 inches wide by 44 inches across. That is the official size for 9th edition games of 40k. GameMat.eu do a wide variety of shapes and sizes now for battle mats, including the official size for games of 9th edition. Also do double-sided mats as well, so you can get two designs in the one mat, which is great value. These are the mouse mat materials, so they roll out nice and flat, soft on dice rolling, nice and quiet for dice rolling, no clattering sounds, and also figure friendly as well if you've got finer detail, perhaps metal, resin, even plastic models. Then it's a softer surface if they do get knocked over. So that's the new mat from them. I'll put a link for that in the video description below. But just looking at the mat, it gives you your kind of color palette to work to. So inside, the colors that I'm seeing in this mat is like a muddy brown. There's actually virtually black running through here, like a dead rotten wood kind of color going on. There's also like a mossy green. You can see it in other parts of the mat. There's a patch of it just there. So I'm going to use that, or I've used that as my color palette here for the rest of the terrain. So once your mat's in place, it just gives you that board coverage, brilliant surface, and just start to place your terrain on top. So you start then with your larger features, and then we'll cover all the little accessories and extra bits just to build this thing up. And what I like to do with my mats is try and get all of the bits of terrain to blend in together. So I want everything to blend into the mat nicely, and even the terrain features and the buildings and so on, just to match up nicely. So the next stage is to try and get some structure with some larger terrain features. So this is the new set here from GameMat.eu. It's the Grassy Rocks set. They do the Rocks set now. There's a brand new design from them in 4 different color schemes, but I'm going to use the Grassy one just here in this tutorial. So that's all one piece. And in fact, I filled this board out with one set from them. So you get a larger piece here, you get another larger piece across there. You get 2 of these, that one, and there's another one across there. You get 2 large archways, there's one there and there's one over in that corner. And then you also get 2 smaller archways, there's one just there and then one over in that corner. So spread those out. Now I have adjusted these just slightly to match in better with this mat. So they come pre-painted, and the colour scheme for them fits very well indeed. You've got the greys and the mud colours going on with that, so it all works just fine. So there's only a very small adjustment that I did. So for colour correction on it, you could get away with not doing this, but I like to just try and get the tone right between the two. So I've used a spray from Army Painter. It's this one. I've not used it before, but it fits in nicely. That's the colour that you can see just there. Necrotic Flesh. So if you can see that tone going on, it's like a green, but it's like a mouldy, lichen-y kind of green going on here. And I've used that and just sort of dust sprayed it, just flicked it across these terrain pieces. And if you line the two up together, you'd see a different tone between the two. But it just adds in that kind of mossy colour that we're seeing here on the battle mat. It's just bringing that into the rocky outcrops here. So slight adjustment, short bursts of spray, nothing too heavy, but just gives it a dusting, a flicking of that colour just to match that in. Then you'll see with the pre-painted terrain set as well, it comes with patches of green painted on. The green's quite gaudy and it doesn't match in with the mat too well. Again, I'm trying to look for this kind of mossy colour. So easy fix to that. Here I've taken a tub of flock. There's a large amount of it here. You can choose which tone you want to use. This is the standard flock that they use here at SSWG Wargames Club. But we've taken that PVA glue, just patched it on to those green patches already marked out for you, and then just dropping the flock on top, and that's it. And that gives you your rocky outcrops with your flock. The foundation colour underneath is green. You can't see it here, and this is glued on just nicely. Again, an easy fix. James is here. How long did that take us, James, to do that flock? 10 minutes? 10 minutes work. Easily done. And instead of having painted on green, you get the really realistic flock kind of effect. If I zoom in here, just to show you how realistic that looks, for 10 minutes work to make those adjustments. Now that rocky outcrop set just blends in really nicely. So if you get to that stage, just going to give you a battle mat, nice terrain features, excellent. So that's already off to a really good start. Next stage, I guess, is we'll do the trees. So these pine trees here, you can get a hold of these from model railway shops, eBay. These came painted this kind of green colour. I mounted them onto coins, stuck them on with super glue, and then used the flock around the base just to blend them in. And I'll just do them individually. When you do them individually, you can start to form them up. These I've actually just put on the terrain, and with the coin they're quite well balanced. They'll sit there quite nicely. When they're individual trees, you can cluster them however you want. So I'd recommend that you do that. I've got half a box of these, and you can see them spread out across the board. You can buy a finer flock and with PVA glue painted on, and then drop them into the flock to add a bit more foliage to them. If you wish, you can do that. I did that to these a number of years ago. A lot of the flock has actually fallen off over the years. There's still some on there, but again, it would just be a case of just painting PVA glue, dropping them back into the flock, and that would fix those. Now, I wouldn't use the static grass on them. You can, but to make it different, you can instead use the finer ground up foam, and I've gone for the darker green with that. I wonder if I can perhaps zoom in to give you a bit of an idea here. So there's, to be honest, a lot of the flock has come off over the years because we have used these for over a decade now, and over time the flock does drop off. But as you can see, a lot of it's fallen off here, and these trees still look fantastic. So I've had these for a good number of years, and just individually mounted them. You can use them for all sorts of games and setups, but you can get a hold of those. Once you got that set, you can use them for all sorts of terrain, but they fit in really nice with this forest sort of swamp kind of setup. So you've got your trees now, you've got your large foundational rocks. If you're playing something like Age of Sigmar, where you don't want 40k terrain, then you could just run that as it is, and that will give you a nice terrain setup. I'll cover the logs. They're real. They're just from the woods. I think these are oak tree.
Can't get much real than that.
Just snap them up and just scatter them around the board. I've put a pile of them across here, like the Imperial forces have done a bit of clearance, with a lumberjacking going on. Just stacking those up, but just to add another layer of realism, easily done. We'll keep rolling with this here for this setup that you see. So you've got your sticks, as you can see some of them buried in. Then one of my favourite terrain accessories is the lichen. Get a hold of that from eBay. You can get large bags of it. Get a model railway shop, hobby shop. Choose which tone. I've got a variety of tones, but this tone here matches nicely in with the tone of the flock, and also it's kind of matching the green that we're seeing in the mat. So that's all matching up quite nicely. It all blends in. The final finishing touch, which I've featured in pretty much all of the battlefield terrain videos, is just stones and scatter. So I've taken my natural stones I collected from the beach, put them all into a tray, and then I've sprayed them up to try and match them in with the terrain. So there's the stones, just there. They're matching in quite well. So they were a natural kind of sandy colour, but I've gone for a triple spray with these. This colour again, also a bit of brown. You see that matched in with the terrain quite well. That one's leather brown from Army Painter, and then just actually a bit of black to bring in also, because look, there's plenty of black running through the mat. So I put the stones out into a box. I'll even show you the box I used. Just a large box like this. And you can see where the stones were, and the dappled effect It's quite a good camo pattern actually. But the stones, just spread them out. Spray with black. Spray with the brown in patches. Spray with the necrotic flesh in patches. Leave it to dry. Move the stones around. Spray the whole thing again. Move the stones around. Spray the whole thing again. About 3 or 4 times, and that will, by the time you shake them all up, that'll cover the majority of the stones, and you actually can transform the tone and the colour of them to match in with whatever build that you're doing. So I've done that for a number of the videos, and once you have those stones, when we pack this board up, I'll put those stones away into a separate bag, mark them up for this terrain, keep them stored away, don't let them mix with other stones and so on, and then whenever we play this particular themed board, just use those stones and scatter them around, and you've got the final blend here to just bring all the terrain to match it in nicely with the battle map. So just around the other side of the table here, you can see the effect of this. I'll go around the board here, we'll finish up with some music and some panning around this board just to show you the effect. So then you've got your battlefield accessories, just the usual 40k stuff, just painted up with a rusty kind of effect. There's some tank traps and obstacles here as well. James, what is that stuff? These are sprayed silver and then they're painted on roughly with
Typhus corrosion.
Typhus corrosion from Games Workshop.
So you use lead belcher.
Yeah.
Then on top you apply Typhus corrosion.
Yeah.
And then on top of that you
final highlight
Scrag brown.
Oh.
Citadel paint.
Yes.
To give it the rust effect.
Right.
And then you highlight with iron breaker.
And there you go. Right.
Very
easy to do. It's effects that you're going for with those, but a very deep, sort of deep rusty kind of colour, which I think fits in with this terrain just perfect. Then these 2 buildings are relics from the past. This is the Imperial Fire Base.
It's 1996.
1996 cardboard
95,
and plastic kits. And then this one's the Imperial Bastion. So a number of years ago, these they were just cardboard, quite flimsy. I based them, put them onto acrylic sheet base, stuck them down, used cardboard to do extra edges on them. Extra edge on this slit here. I used L-shaped angled plastruct plastic to do the edges on some of them as well. Stuck on some Imperial accessories from the building set, and then sprayed them up, based them, and then done some rust effects on them as well. So these are quite unique, but old. They are old. But
that's the whole point, isn't it? It is.
And this effect is, see this barbed wire. This is the barbed wire set. You can get miniature barbed wire. Get that from eBay. Games Workshop used to sell it. And then these spikes are just cocktail sticks stuck on, but it looks very, very cool. So 2 unique buildings here, but you could bring in whatever terrain that you want. Now this is from our urban fighting, so grey with a bit of the green flock, but just seems to blend in nicely with the swamp mat, and then with the stones just helps to change the tone, just to blend it all in quite nicely. But other than those 2 unique pieces, all of this is quite accessible and easily done. Made some nice little features, little walkway across here, some steps going up, and then a little outpost here, little observation post there for the guards. Just little bits of personality. There's a couple of Akak towers set up out in the woods as well. But that is the Imperial Swamp Base. So I'll put the links. The main links really is the battle mat, this new one from GameMat.eu, available in different sizes I believe, and then the Grassy Rocks set with some easy adjustments to make to that. You can track these down, you'll be able to get a hold of those, no problem at all. The Lichen you can get a hold of, searching for that in places like eBay, and then you can assemble yourself a very thematic terrain board for your games of Warhammer 40,000. But that's the tutorial. As per usual, we'll finish with some panning here on this very atmospheric board. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.